Tuariki te maunga ko waipapa te awa. Ko tūtawake te whare nui, ko rangi te taia te whare kai, ko ngā te paiakau, ko ta whānawa tūtawake, ko ta whānawa tuahiawa ngā hapu, ko ta whānawa Apanui te iwi. Kia koutou ngā whanaunga o te hapu, ko ta marae, ko whitianga. Nō reira, ngā mihi, ngā mihi, ngā mihi. Well, everybody, getting into some meaty stuff today as we're moving forward on the treaty settlement process and sorting out ourselves as hapu. So I'll switch again to a shared screen. So today I want to talk about the Te Whanau Apanui treaty claim, negotiators, mandate, and settlement. To start off, as a number of you are aware that last year, several months ago, Tuariki Delamere, Charlie's daughter, and I filed a Treaty of Waitangi claim on the grounds that we consider that the actions of the Crown in the settlement process of our treaty claim have marginalized the people of Te Whanau Apanui and, of course, our own hapu. We claim to the tribunal that the Crown failed to seek a comprehensive and proper mandate from the people of Te Whanau Apanui when the Crown anointed the three negotiators to represent Te Whanau Apanui. Now, our negotiators. First, I want to state at the outset, my concerns are nothing to do with the competence of the negotiators and their commitment to the cause. But the Crown in anointing two persons as negotiators for Te Whanau Apanui, when neither of those persons identified as Te Whanau Apanui, and when the Crown knew those two persons, one, did not have a mandate from the people of Te Whanau Apanui, and two, they had unacceptable conflicts of interest. And people I'm referring to, of course, is Matanuku Mahawika. And Matanuku is the managing partner of Kahui Legal. And the conflicts come here is because he's the boss of Natalie, who's the other one of the other negotiators. And Natalie, hey, she's brilliant. There's no two ways about that. But one can't have any confidence in Natalie's independence because Matanuku is her boss at Kahui Legal. And one has to be assured that any negotiators you have must have full and complete independence. And when one of the negotiators is your boss, that's just not possible. The other problem is Matanuku is the chair of Ngāti Porou Holdings. He runs pretty much Ngāti Porou. And when I saw the ARP, I was extremely concerned to find numerous references and provisions favorable to Ngāti Porou. Now, if that's not a conflict of interest, I have no idea what is. I have no problem that Te Whanau Apanui engages Kahui Legal as its legal counsel. Okay, I have no problem with the abilities and competence of Matanuku and Natalie, but they should be legal counsel and not our negotiators. They shouldn't be the ones deciding on what's good for Te Whanau Apanui. Now, at the outset, Anahera and I both believe negotiators had no mandate. Not just the negotiators. From what I've been hunting around, it appears to me that the persons who are referred to as the hapu chairs, I don't think they've got a proper mandate to represent the hapu of Te Whanau Apanui. I think this is the Crown again trying to shove things along, ignoring the wishes of the majority members of the respective hapu. And I was frankly disgusted when we signed, well, not we, not me, when those people went and signed that agreement on 28th of June 2019. And I can tell you, most of them had no idea what they were signing. Certainly the chair of Ngati Paiako, Te Whanau Tutawaki Te Whanau Tuahiawa, Paul did not understand that. And why should he? You know, a 100-page document given to us by the Crown 2 or 3 days before signing it. No ability, no chance, no opportunity to go and seek individual counsel. That's just a typical Crown maneuver. Now, and why do I criticize the Crown? Well, because within the Whanau Apanui, I think I have more experience on this than anyone else. Okay, and we've got a lot of experience. Not just me. We've got Tawira Gardner, Andrea Tunks, Ka Ngamoki, and I'm sure plenty of others. But in terms of my own experience, for about 3 years, I was manager of treaty negotiations for the Crown in the early 90s. Then for 2 to 3 years, I then managed and directed the claim for the whakatohia of the other side of us, from Ngārori, to the signing of that agreement of principle that ultimately was rejected by the people. And then as a cabinet minister, I was aware and involved in all of the, except for whakatohia, all of the treaty settlements for that period, 96 through to 2000. So I had a bit of background there. At no stage did negotiators, did Rikirangi ever come to me to discuss the Te Whanau Apanui process. And, you know, nor did Paul, for that matter, ever approach me to see what I thought. And this is the feeling, not just from me, but from another number of us. Anyway, let's go on to my thoughts on settling the Whanau Apanui's claim. Now, this is the problem. This diagram is how it should be. We go into negotiations, we have the Crown at one end of the field, and we have us at the other end of the field. They put their stake in the ground. This is what they're suggesting should be the settlement. And we all stick our stake in the ground, and we're probably going to be way apart. And then we start, you know, negotiating with them. Our negotiators come back to the hapu, the individuals, and brief us and go back, and slowly, you know, we work things out. But no, what happened is the 28th of June last year at Umaia, that's what happened. The Crown says, here's the agreement in principle, and our lot, yeah, let's go sign that. We've got a massive 100-page legal document, complicated and complex, and we had about 2 days to try and digest what it meant. Now, that is just ridiculous. That is pathetic that our negotiators gave in to the Crown's pressure. Why did they do that? For God's sake, we're 180 years since we signed the treaty or something like that. There's no huge hurry. The Crown has spent many, many, many months getting that agreement of principle ready. And our negotiators, God bless them, says, oh, you people, here, we'll agree to the Crown giving us 2 days to have a look at the bloody thing. And when you've got negotiators who roll over to that sort of pressure, you know, from the thief, from the Crown, you know, from the abuser, you got to look at our negotiators. And that's what we should be aiming for. We move up and down till finally we come to some sort of agreement, if we ever can. It just really pisses me off that that's our starting point. That's when we of the hapu, certainly Ngati Paiako, and I imagine all the other hapu of the Whanau Apanui, that's when we of the hapu were brought into the picture. You know, and there's a few other things, you know, but that's when we got involved back in June last year. A done deal, for God's sake. Now, mandate, the figure 12984, That was the number of people in the census of 2013 who signalled to the government, to the Crown at the census, that they identified as Te Whanau Apanui. Okay, we haven't had an official update yet because the government managed, or the statistics department, to screw up the 2018 census. Now, the reality is there's probably well over 20,000 that could actually claim to be Te Whanau Apanui if they wished. The 2,000 plus is what I believe we have as people who identify as Ngāti Paiako, Te Whanau Tūtawake, or Te Whanau Tuahiawa. You know, they identify as belonging to Whitianga Marae. And I'm pretty confident we have over 2,000. And I know a number of them will also identify to other hapu. But who made the decision for Ngāti Paiako? One person. In fact, at the meeting we had on the 3rd of June at Whitianga, everyone there told our chairman, don't sign that agreement. But when it finally came in, he just went ahead and signed it anyway. Felt he had the right to decide all by himself in Ngāti Paiako position. And I believe similar things happened at all the other hapu as well. Now, these are my thoughts to survive and grow and prosper into the future. We need to connect to those people, to those thousands who identify as Te Whanau Apanui as Ngāti Paiako. They are our lifeblood. They are the pathway to the future. They are the guardians of our mokopuna yet to be born. And if we don't sort this out, and this is much bigger than settling that bloody claim. What's the big thing is to get the register. RIA's got it well started, and that's great. But we've got a long way to go. I think it's about a couple of hundred people on it right now. So we're a good few hundred short, but hey, it's a start. But for me, to the government, you have those details of 12,984 people back in 2013. We of the Whanau Apanui want those details. We want to be able to connect to them and get them onto our register. Because as far as I'm concerned, that information held by the Crown is a taonga that belongs to us. It belongs to the Whanau Apanui. And it belongs to every individual iwi hapu in the country. And if the Crown truly wants to work with iwi Māori, the Crown would make positive steps to get that information out to every iwi, every hapu. And can you imagine it? If it was done, we would have a register of about 750,000 people identified as Māori, identified by the hapu, identified by the iwi. And what a political power block that would be. I tell you now, Pākehā masters in Wellington don't want to see that happen. But that should be the first thing every tribe out there should demand. Not as part of the treaty settlement. That's a taonga that belongs to us. You tried to destroy us over the last 160, 80 years. We want to know where our people are, who they are, so we can get them back under the umbrella of the hapu, under the umbrella of the iwi. So we want the Crown. This is where I would have started in our negotiations with the Crown. You are to fund and assist the Whanau Apanui, and indeed all iwi who want to participate, to establish a fully interactive database that will identify each member of the iwi and their hapu, and allow us to create a whakapapa for every iwi and hapu. I also want the Crown to establish a modern Wi-Fi network from Opotiki through to Gisborne for every marae, every community, every school, every household, Māori and Pākehā, to be fully Wi-Fi capable. Our people who live down there, and when we go back down there ourselves, we are part of the New Zealand community. We have been forgotten so often. And any government that wants to really set things going, that should be a given. They should be offering it to us. And education. I want to see, as part of our opening stance for our treaty settlement, an immediate commitment by the Crown to ensure that the true history of New Zealand is taught at all schools. My daughter Alana in 1992, in her 7th form year of high school, filed the treaty claim against the government for not teaching New Zealand history. She wanted to study that year our own history, especially as it related to Māori and from a Māori viewpoint. But her school says, no, we only teach British history. And she was pissed off and filed a treaty claim. And it looks like finally, 28, 29 years later, it's going to happen. All schools should be taught the local history for that area, warts and all, about Māori, about Pākehā, about the interactions 100, 200 years ago. I also want the Crown to commit to ensuring that all children within Arohe, Māori and Pākehā, will have a laptop at home, Wi-Fi access at home. And why? Because the world of learning is on the internet. You can't get the internet without a laptop. And actually, I want this to be for every kid in New Zealand. I don't want to see the kids who come from economically struggling families to miss out and start being behind the eight ball at the age of 5. And this should be a commitment, not part of our treaty settlement, but to the nation going forward. I mean, if the Prime Minister can go out and spend $200 million to buy back some of the guns, the automatic rifles, she can do this. Now, fishing. This is the guts of our treaty. I only have a couple of things actually that's pertinent to our claim. I want the Crown, and we should be demanding from the Crown that the Crown agree and enact as necessary that only Te Whanau Apanui will have ownership rights for commercial fishing within the rohe moana of Te Whanau Apanui. Will have the right for determining the rules and regulations for non-commercial fishing within the rohe moana of Te Whanau Apanui. And I'm confident that with that, we will set the rules for individual rights equally between Pākehā and Māori. And so what was the value of our losses resulting from the systematic theft of our lands, our moana, our resources, the deprivations against the whānau by the Crown that were orchestrated by the Crown over the past now it's 180 years. I don't know actually. No one can quantify that sort of thing. It varies from tribe to tribe, rohe to rohe. But I have my thoughts. If the Crown can afford to fund the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra more than $200 million since the year 2000, and if the Crown can afford to compensate the shareholders of Equity Corp in 1998, $260 million, and that's when I was a cabinet minister, and I signaled my approval for that, but also signaled that it pissed me off having to compensate mostly Pākehās for an action that they did themselves. No one forced them to buy shares in Equity Corp. No one forced them to go along for the ride with Hawkins. They did it all to themselves. But we paid out $268 million. And if we can afford to compensate, again, mostly Pākehā investors in South Canterbury Finance, $1,600 million in 2010, we sure as hell can afford to compensate the Whanau Apanui for all the deprivations caused by the Crown for at least $200 million. And that should be our starting point. Our starting point should not be that, because that's what it is. Our negotiators went there and said, yeah, Crown, they talked about it for a few months, I know that. But the first thing they came back to us is say, oh, the Crown stuck their peg on the 1 yard line. And we rushed down 99 yards and said, great, let's stick our taiaha next to it. What a load of rubbish that was. That's not negotiating, that's just caving in and bending over. So that's who we are, people. I'll let you know when I have my next rant and rave. And at some stage, hopefully next week, I will start putting together a plan for us to have a look at. Nō reira, he mihi nui ki a koutou.